Hello and welcome to my YouTube channel. In today's video I'm going to show you how to create this type-in effect on Wix Studio. There will be a link down below to the code that is used in this video. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to add a text box, and I'm just going to copy and paste some text over. We'll place that there. Next we're going to add a paragraph, and this paragraph is only going to be viewable on screen readers. So in this paragraph I'm going to put all the text that I'm going to have typed out. Then what we're going to do is we're going to turn on coding, clicking these curly braces and turn on coding, and we will also add the CSS global file whilst I'm here. We can delete that. Next I'm going to copy and paste in some code. This code is to hide this paragraph visually so that only screen readers will see this paragraph. With our paragraph selected, we'll click on the create custom class, type sr-only. Now as you can see, that's completely disappeared from the screen. Next we're going to add another paragraph underneath, and this paragraph is going to be our type-in text box. I'm going to stretch this paragraph out a little bit, and I'm just going to change this to read type-in text box. This won't actually show up on the screen once the site is published. We're going to make that font a little bit bigger. Let's try 38 pixels. And I'm also going to make this font bold. Right, next I'm going to add a button. We can change that to book now. And we will stack these three items together. Add a little bit more padding at the bottom here between the button and the text, and we'll vertically line that to the center and center. Next, at the top of the CSS file, I'm going to create a root. In here I'm going to create a few CSS variables. First thing we're going to do is write 2 dashes, and then we're going to write our name, and the name's going to be line height, and I'm going to set that line height to 100% for the minute. If you've got more than one line of text, you would have to adjust this, which is why I've set up a CSS variable for it. I will show you why later. Next one we're going to set is the line width, and I'm going to set that to 2 pixels for now. And then we're also going to set a line color. I'm going to set that to the 333, which is a dark grey. The next one's going to be the line position. Nope. Want that to be a dash, not an equals. And I'm going to set that to 6 pixels for the minute. You may have to adjust this depending on the font that you're using. Next, with our typing box selected, I'm going to give this a class of typing, and then we're going to dot typing to use that class, and then we want to access the rich text, so it's dot rich text. We want to position this relative, and we want it to display inline. This is so if we do have more than one line of text, the blink indicator will stay at the bottom. Next, we're going to target the typing again. type in, and we want to target the rich text again, but this time we're going to target this pseudo element after. Whenever you're using before or after, you need to give it a content. This content is just going to be an empty string, and we're going to give it a height, and the height we're going to use is our variable at the top there, so we can press dash dash height and it will autofill, and then we'll do the width. If it doesn't autofill, which it does do sometimes, you type var brackets and then you can just type in the variable name. We're going to set the background color, and that's going to be set to our line color. Next we're going to position this absolute, and then we're going to give it a right of -8 pixels and a bottom of line position. We could actually set this as a variable as well. We could put line position right, and then set that to -8 pixels. Missed the I there. And then you can delete this and add our line position right. Next, if we click preview, we should have a little line indicator at the end there. As you can see, it does actually look a little bit too long for my liking, so I'm going to change that line height position from 100%, and I'm going to set it to 1.5 character height. So look, yeah, I think that's a little bit better. Maybe we try 4 to move that position a little bit. There we go, I think that looks a bit better positioning. Next we're going to create our blinking animation, so that line blinks. To do that we're going to write at keyframes. I'm going to call this animation blink, and we want it to go from an opacity of 0 to an opacity of 1. And to use this animation, we type animation, we write the animation name we want to use. We're going to set how often we want this animation to run. We're going to set it to both directions, and we're going to set it infinite so it continuously runs. Now if we click preview, we will have our little blinking indicator at the end there. Next we're going to set another class. I'm just going to call this hide, and we want to target the rich text after. So then when this text box has got a class of hide, we're going to hide this blinking indicator, and to do that we're just going to set the display to none. And that's all the CSS that we need for this at the moment. So now we're going to go over and start working on the text and code. We can delete all these comments. With our text box selected, we're going to change the ID of this to locations. And then right at the top of the file, we're going to type *W. If we put L, it should autofill for us. And we're going to target the locations, and we want to target the text, and we want that to equal an empty string. This way, when the site loads, this text box will be completely empty. Next, underneath the onReady function, we're going to create a function, and we're going to call that function type text, and this function is going to take in 2 parameters. First parameter is going to be the target, which will be our locations text box, and then it's going to take in an array. I'm going to call that text to type array. And then within this function, we're going to set a variable called words, and that's going to equal the text array that we pass in. Next, we're going to set another variable called I, and we're going to set that to 0. And then we're going to create another function inside this function. This function is going to be called type word. It's not going to take any parameters. We're going to create an if statement, so we type if brackets. I want this code to run when I is less than words dot length. If I is less than words dot length, we want to run this block of code. In here, we're first going to create a few variables, and the first one's going to be let text, and that's going to equal our words, but we want the word that is at the index of I, which is currently 0, which means it is the first word in the array. We want to create another variable. This variable will be called typing text, and this typing text is going to be the target text box that we're passing in here. So we're going to write $W, then we want our brackets, then we're going to use backticks, then we want hash, and then we want another dollar symbol and curly braces, and then in here we're going to write target. We're going to create another variable. This one's just going to be called a number, and this one's also going to be equal 0. Now we're going to create an interval that runs to start typing out the text. Then we're going to create another variable called typing, and that's going to equal a set interval, and we want this interval to run every 400 milliseconds. I'm going to create another if statement. We're going to type if brackets number is less than or equal to text dot length. We want this code to run, and when the number is less than text dot length, we want the typing text dot text to equal text dot slice, and we want it to start at the first position, and we want it to slice up to number, and then we're going to add 1 to that number. Next we write else, and this block of code will run when this isn't true, and when this isn't true we want to clear this interval. The interval we want to clear is typing. We want to increase I by 1, so we write I plus plus, and then we're going to create a set timeout brackets, and this set timeout is going to recall this function, and it's going to do that after 500 milliseconds. And then right underneath this if statement, so we're now coming outside of that, we're going to write else. This will activate once all the words that we pass into this array have been typed out. We're going to copy this variable from here, and we're going to just paste that within this else statement. We want to apply a class to this typing box. To do that, we're now going to type typing text dot custom class list dot add hide, and then we're going to call this function from within this function. So right at the bottom we're going to call type word. Now to use this function, we'll come up into our onReady function and we'll type text, the brackets, then we need to pass in the name of this target, which is locations, and then we pass in the array of words that we want typed out. I'm just going to copy and paste that over. Now if we click preview, we should have our text typing out. And there we go, we can see it will run through all 4 words. And then it'll stop and this blinking indicator will disappear. If we were to have more than one word, and let's say this was all one line of text instead of 4 separate words, so we've got a long line like this, and we were to click preview, you can see it will type it all out, and the indicator will stay at the bottom of the text box. But when we would move to a smaller screen, this is where you might have to do a little bit of adjusting on the height and size of this indicator. You might be alright with some fonts and other fonts not so much. It depends on the font, and to change that height you just need to adjust this line height here. If you do need to change it specifically on smaller devices rather than across all the devices, to do that you can use a media query. And on the CSS file, what we can do is we write at media, then it's only screen, oops, and we want to type max width, and then we put in the size of the breakpoint, which on this one is 1000 pixels. So the code in this block here will only activate when the browser size is got a maximum width of 1000. To show you what happens, we're going to just type root here, and I'm just going to change the line color. So we'll grab that, paste that in here, and we'll change this line color to red. So now if we click preview, when we're on the tablet size, you can see that our line is red, but if we're on desktop, the line is black. As I say, you might need to adjust the line height depending on what fonts you use. And that's how to create this typing effects on Wix Studio. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask them down below. Thanks for watching.